Hi, and welcome to day 2 of this beginner cello course for adults. My name is Clay from thecelloonline if we're meeting for the first time. And if you're coming from day 1, welcome back. I hope practice is going well. I hope you're finding the position of the instrument is going a little easier here today. And we're going to move on. We're going to jump right into the bow hold. And just like with day 1, I'm going to put some things here in the playlist that are already on the channel and just give you a few reminders here about what to look for. I'm going to give you the items on the checklist for today and just point out a few things about the bow hold to keep in mind as a beginner as you're going through this. All right. So there are 3 main ways or 3 main things that I say to beginners about the bow hold to help them remember it and so we can learn how to do it. The first one is going through the steps. And we will practice together at the end, all of this, just like with day 1. Because, I think it's important to do this together, and I want to be here with you hanging out doing cello stuff. All right, I think it makes it much easier for you as a student. All right, if we can just do this together a few times. But first here, going through the steps. So my absolute favorite is to say thumb, middle finger, drop. Just like that. And, maybe you've already seen this on the channel before, but again, I have some separate videos. I'll put those in here. Thumb, okay, thumb right in here, pointed straight into this space. Middle finger, half on silver, half on hair, and then drop the rest of the fingers. Now, as a beginner doing this, I go and I put my hand on here, and then I go to play something, and I'm, constantly trying to fix it one-handed. And I think this is the biggest mistake that beginners make, is not stopping, and you'll probably hear me say this again many times. You got to stop, go through the steps, use 2 hands, always use 2 hands, all right, so that this hand is free to do what it needs to, all right. Thumb, middle finger, drop. That's the first way. Going through the steps, making sure that this thumb is here in this place, all right, pointed straight in, partly touching the frog, partly touching the stick. Middle finger, half on silver, half on hair, all right, and then dropping. I'm looking over here at my monitor to make sure I'm actually showing you what I think I'm showing you, okay? And then pinky here, always flat, right? Pinky not here, writing up, pinky not up here, that's violin, right? We don't want this, we don't want the hand collapsing, okay? Again, I'll put some videos here in the playlist, things that can go wrong with the bow hold. But that's way number 1. Way number 2, I call it the cliffhanger, all right? It's to remind our fingers how they should be touching the bow, right? The flats of our fingers, the pads, right? And again, don't try to, well, you can't do this one-handed because you're not supposed to have your thumb there. And I think it's helpful if you just actually hold the bow up as if you're rock climbing so that you can pull down on the bow. You're not going to hurt your bow. All right, my bow's pretty expensive. I'm not worried about hurting it, okay? It's been around this long, 100 years. It'll be okay. All right, so I'm pulling down so I can really feel the flats, right, of my fingers coming down, right? Then I just put my thumb, and again, 2 hands, right? Now the mistake is, as I'm going over to the string, is this moves and changes, right? The reason to find this, okay, these flats of the fingers, is so I can, commit it to memory, keep that sensation of those fingers against the frog, and then maintain that as I go over to the string, okay? So I call it the cliffhanger, the rock climber, right? Because it's like I'm rock climbing. You would never rock climb with your fingers like this. You would never pick up anything, right? Like my metronome, right? Just pick up anything that's around you. Yeah, you don't hold anything like that. You hold it. This is the strong grip. Flat. Fingers are flat, right? So let's do the same with the bow. Okay, flat fingers. Okay, down like this. Now, way number 3 is, I have a student right now at the time of this recording. He really loves this image of the floppy fish, because it is. It's like a fish just kind of flopping around, right? I like this because I think there's so many things that we do that are unnatural, okay? This is not a natural position to be in. This is not a natural thing to do with your body. And it's going to get frustrating. Just, come back, review, keep going, keep checking things off your list here. All right, it will get easier. But so as many things as we can do that are natural, I try to do them. So letting the hand hang in the most natural position, and then just putting my hand on the bow, right? It reminds me to let this hand hang, right? And then, because as beginners, we pick up a bow and we do this, right? Everybody wants to do this. Straighten this wrist out because it just seems, intuitive that I want to do this, which is odd since this, letting something hang and letting gravity work for us, seems like it would be the most intuitive, most natural, but for whatever reason, everybody wants to do this. I guess it's partly this arm wanting to sag here. I don't know. Maybe this wrist being so bent is the unnatural part, is the reason we don't do it. All right. But look, gravity is helping us here. So hand in the bow path, let it hang, just put the bow in. Now, pro tip, the angle of my hand, exactly how's it supposed to be here when I'm pretending to be in the bow half, because I'm a beginner, haven't actually bowed anything yet, right? It's just make the OK sign here, touch your index finger to your thumb, and literally touch that like it's a barrel, like it's a target, touch it to the C string over here, okay? All right, just boom, okay? And then feel how bent this wrist is, okay? All right, it's very, very bent. In order for both fingers to touch like this, I have to really, really bend this wrist. And that's how bent I should be for this hand to stay straight. And we'll talk about this more later. I'm gonna revisit that little exercise, and I'll let the hand hang, all right? So I have 3 ways. Let's go through them one more time. Thumb, middle finger, drop. Then I have the cliffhanger, all right? The rock climber, feeling the flats, okay? Then I also have the hand hang, where I'm just gonna let my hand hang in the bow path, and then I'm just gonna put my fingers in the right spots, okay? So what's on my checklist for today? What am I checking off here? I have each of the 3 ways memorized so that I can go through each one of them while practicing. Make that your goal, okay? Try to commit them to memory, all right, so that you're not always referring back, but that's why you have the sheet here, the PDF, okay, either printed out or on an iPad or whatever. I have mine on my iPad. But if you can memorize them so that you can just find it a little faster, all right? Because we're always in a hurry to do this, all right? Or we want to get there quickly, which is why we go through the bad habit of trying to fix things with one hand, okay? So just commit the steps to memory so that you can go through the steps faster. You can't skip going through the steps. You got to do this or go through the steps, thumb, middle finger, drop. You got to do the hand hang and then put the bow in. Going through the steps matters, but you can go through the steps faster if you memorize them. All right, so it's on the checklist. Next, I understand where my thumb goes and how it is to approach the bow, rounded and dropping from the hanging hand, okay? So my thumb, going in here, right? It's got to stay rounded, right? It's not straight, okay? It's not poking through and coming up underneath. It's coming down here at this kind of sort of 45-degree angle and going straight into the stick. All right, we got to make sure that we understand that and that we understand the shape of the thumb going in there so that we can try to maintain it as much as possible while we're learning to bow here in a few days, okay? And then next, I understand where the rest of my fingers are to be placed on the bow, on the frog, okay? Middle finger, I say half on silver, half on hair because pretty much every bow that puts second finger and thumb across from each other. This is really, really important, okay? If you've done all the steps correctly, if you put your thumb in the right spot, put your middle finger half on silver, half on hair, the second finger is going to be across from thumb, which is where it should be always, okay? Things that go wrong, the hand wants to creep up. We'll talk about that more later as we actually start to bow. But I understand, I want to check it off that I know my pinky's supposed to be flat, this middle finger's supposed to be here, and the other finger's just in line, okay? The first finger and the third finger don't necessarily have a specific spot to go. They just shouldn't be spread out, okay, or collapsing or clamping in, okay? Second finger's here across from thumb, little finger's flat on the frog, okay? All right, so what's on my practice list for today? What goals do I have? Well, we're still thinking about posture and position, right? It's not going to be perfect overnight. Yes, we're still making sure we're checking knee, chest, that we're able to give it the hug test, all right? And then we're also going through these steps of the bow hold. So let's do that now. Just as a side note, make sure you refer back to the day one checklist as many times as you need to. Review any of these videos as many times as you need to. It's never one and done, but that's why it's here. All right, here we go. So let's just do it a few times. Thumb, middle finger, half on silver, half on hair, right across on the thumb. Drop the rest of the fingers. Do a pinky check, that's flat, index finger. Let's do it a couple more times. Thumb, middle finger, drop. Checking, checking. Maybe I put it down here on the string. Maybe I count. Maybe I sing one of my songs, okay? Or sing anything, all right? Just doing something musical. Just seeing if you can just hold this bow here and maintain all this nice shape. Last time. Thumb, middle finger, drop. If you go through the steps, you'll get a beautiful bow hold every time. Now, to help remind the fingers, okay, just placing the fingers. Now, when I place the hand on here, when I'm practicing this, since my thumb is not down, and it's important that your thumb be off because I really want these other four fingers to feel this flat, padded, this part of my finger on the frog, on the stick, okay? So the middle finger becomes the anchor finger here where half on silver, half on hair, right? And I've been demonstrating it, and you'll see in the other videos, okay? But just also as a reminder, the fingers do not dip below, okay? Do not come down, all right? When the thumb slips under, or when these fingers slip under, that's when I start pulling up on the bow. I want the weight going into the stick always, all right? So that I can get good sound, so I can get good tone, okay? So not below, right? So here we go. Pulling, feeling the flat. And then come over to the string. Place the thumb. Okay, I had to adjust my middle finger there. It was a little low. Let's do it again. Feeling myself pulling down, like I'm rock climbing, feeling the flats, making sure I'm not doing this. Okay. Flat, flat, flat. And to the string, right? This step also really helps. Okay, this way of finding the bow hold. Last time, okay. Shake it out. Remember, don't do anything that hurts. Don't do anything that's uncomfortable. If your hand's getting tired, take a break. Flat fingers. Over here. Here we go. Now let's do the hand hang. Remember, thumb, index finger, okay, barrel, okay, touching to the C string, like so. So you can show that in the camera there, all right? So that I feel the angle, okay, letting it hang. Then I might have to adjust a little bit, and then I put my fingers in, again, thumb in the spot, middle finger, half on silver, half on hair, rest of the fingers there. So I get the angle of my hand right. Floppy fish, floppy fish. Maybe you have another image. You can share it in the comments there. All right. And notice I'm always using this hand and placing the bow. Okay, I don't ever put the bow in this hand and go, oh, let me do my floppy fish. You know, you're just starting out, you're just learning. You're going to be straining, you know, these muscles. They've never done this before, all right? It's hard to be loose when you're clamped down on this bow really hard. So let this hang, let it be loose, all right? Use your other hand, and then, okay, and a little adjusting, bringing these fingers up. Don't let them dip. Don't let them dip below this thing, right? Right here at the bottom. And that's all the ways that we find the bow hold when we are a beginner. Remember the playlist, whatever I've put here in the playlist after this video is very specific. Other resources, videos already here on the channel that will help, that are dedicated to these that you can come back to, or you can come back to this video, whatever you need. Use the PDF, use the checklist, and I will see you in day 3.